Hello, everyone. A little special, short, mini late night video here because we didn't know when we would be able to record it after today. The SAG Awards just happened a few hours ago. Um, I think so. Yeah, they ended at like 10 p.m. And we thought, because there were a few things, really just one thing that maybe went a little unexpected, we would have a little discussion. Although I do want to brag, if you looked at our SAG predictions video, you would have gone 6 for 6. So maybe you should just listen to us, but who knows? But I think Oppenheimer wins ensemble, wins lead actor. I think that ends the Paul Giamatti conversation. Lead actress is, I think, what we'll probably mostly talk about, and then the supporting categories, Divine and RDJ are going to be sweeping. So, but lead actress, let's start there. The big thing: Lily Gladstone wins lead actress. She's got SAG. Emma Stone's got Globe. Lily also has Globe, but Emma Stone's got BAFTA, Critics' Choice, and Globe. What are you thinking of this race right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've said it before. When it comes to BAFTA, they do have more difficulty than other voting groups in nominating people of color. We saw that one of the few places where Everything Everywhere All at Once and their ensemble saw some difficulty was BAFTA. And of course, that didn't stop them at the Oscars. I do think that I was very surprised because I think similarly to last year, SAG seems to be very aware of the cultural conversation and they know what the award represents and they're thinking of it beyond the individual film. I'm not saying that it's objective that Emma Stone was better, but I do think that the what the award represents, I do think matters potentially on the same level or even more so in recent years than it has ever before. What does this award say? The person who's getting honored, and I also think I do think that more often than not, people want to give it to first time winners and recipients. And I also think that when you look at the performances in this specific category, we had Emma Stone, we had Margot Robbie, we had Carey Mulligan, we had Annette Bening. These are all names that we're familiar with. I think what people really loved about Lily Gladstone, I think what we both said was by far the best part of the film, was discovering her, discovering this wonderful, vulnerable, just incredible performer that is the heart and soul of that film, a film that SAG did love because it did get into Best Ensemble. And so I think we're sitting here a little surprised just because maybe when we look at the type of films that got omitted at the nomination stage, we think it's odd then that a performance like this wins with this group. I think maybe that was what was happening here. But yeah, I mean, it's a worthy win. She gave a wonderful speech, and I do think this sets her in line for the Oscar because I think what's happening right now, Oscar voting just opened. This is, of course, a wonderful opportunity to get a lot of attention. But I think she's really saying that, not only is this a great way to award the film, and it's really the only place Killers of the Flower Moon is going to get awarded, but this award means something so important in the history of the Oscars. And it's going to go to somebody who couldn't be more deserving. So I think that, I mean, it's crazy to think how much this switched. But we were always saying that if Lily Gladstone won SAG, it would be a completely different story. And now we're right in that completely different story.
Yeah, it's the only above the line category that I think is actually erased right now because it's pretty evenly split. I'm leaning Lily Gladstone at the Oscars right now too, just because SAG I think is more when they split on lead actress in particular, I think SAG is more accurate. And when you look at when BAFTA is wrong about lead actress, the times they've gotten the winner wrong, it's usually because the eventual winner at the Oscars wasn't even nominated in the category, which is the case for BAFTAs. So I'm leaning Lily. I think the sentiment is there. I mean, it's like you said, I think Poor Things will be rewarded elsewhere, at least with tech categories. This is the only place you can reward killers. I think she is the standout part of the film. She gave a great speech.
You know somebody who felt that Lily Gladstone was the best performance of the year. So
yeah. It's all subjective.
It should be merit. It's like, well, who's determining the merit? In the end, what Lily Gladstone did is she humanizes an entire culture and embodies them and embodies their pain and their suffering, but also gives them a three-dimensionality that we don't tend to see in these stories. As listen, I've spoken my grievances on the film, but I still think that it was a step towards something that we really hadn't depicted ever before. And there's always going to be difficulty in the first time that we're depicting something on screen. So I think that's what we're seeing here. And I think, Poor Things in the end, I do think is a tougher sit for people. It is a comedic performance too, which tend not to outweigh the dramatic performances when it comes to awards. And I do think that there's a similar sentiment to Kate Blanchett with Tar last year. It's like, well, she's already got an Oscar. This would be a worthy win, of course, and she's a wonderful talent. But I also think that you're seeing. I just feel like even Emma Stone, like we saw her reaction to Lily Gladstone winning.
She was very happy
Because of social media, because of how like the Oscar really doesn't matter as much to a star these days as it did maybe 25 years ago. And so I think that they know that whether they win this Oscar or not, it's not like Emma Stone's still going to get work. And so I think because of that, you almost get this sense of if the Oscars are really now going to be people like Hiwei Kwan who aren't getting work now can get work because of that Oscar, or B, it's an honorary achievement. It represents something more than the film. Then Lily Gladstone fits those boxes better than Emma Stone.
Yeah, I agree. So I am leaning that way, and I've seen the tweets already about the merit and all that. I mean, everyone has their personal favorites. Everyone has a favorite in their category who they think gave the best performance. But I think all of the main contenders, even Annette Bening, I think all of them gave a worthy enough performance, in my opinion, at least. So it's all subjective. I don't understand the whole merit conversation. Any of them would be good winners, but that's pretty much it for Best Actress. Unless, do you have anything else to say on that?
I'm good on Best Actress. I think that we could talk about it because I feel like we kind of buried the lead here because we weren't surprised that Cillian Murphy won, but I think a lot of people are.
I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people were predicting Giamatti, but we've been sweep predictors for a while, I think.
Yeah.
For Cillian.
Well, my whole thing, even before I was necessarily predicting him, and we were still in the days of Bradley Cooper. I just couldn't. It was hard for me to get on board with the idea that Oppenheimer is going to sweep so many of these categories, and yet the performance at the center that captained everything isn't going to get awarded, especially because people know Cillian Murphy. Like this was a major breakthrough for him. His real like a major lead role in a big Hollywood picture. But like people grew up and I don't know, grew up. Some people probably grew up with Peaky Blinders, but a lot of people show. And I think that he has a legion of fans, and I think you definitely saw that at SAG. We always said that he could do very well at SAG because they have so many television viewers. I just think that we always felt that Cillian's was the performance like Lily that felt so singular to this year. We've seen performances like Paul Giamatti's and Bradley Cooper's. We hadn't seen something like Cillian Murphy. Definitely in a biopic. I struggle to think of another. I mean, even Ryan Gosling in First Man, like it doesn't. What Cillian Murphy achieves in this film is so unique and independent that, I mean, we want to talk about merit. I think he totally deserves it. I'm very happy for him, and it couldn't happen to a nicer actor.
Yeah, I agree, and I think from an acting voting perspective, I think we've said this before too. When you look at the tasks at least between the two frontrunners, Giamatti and Murphy, I think the task that Murphy had of like carrying like pretty much in every frame of this 3-hour epic biopic, I think that was a much harder task than I think what Giamatti gave a great performance, but I think a performance that we've probably seen him deliver in similar fashion before.
The degree of difficulty was high with Murphy, I feel.
Yeah.
Because he has to do a lot of the same things. People talk about like Paul Giamatti, he starts off as a jerk and then you have to love him by the end. Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer's the same way in some regards.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. And then I think what the supporting categories are pretty easy. Yeah. Divine, RDJ, that's going to continue. And then ensemble went to Oppenheimer, which I think was also pretty expected. So I think the main switch up here was lead actress. And I think now we're both probably right now leaning Gladstone, but that's definitely a race.
Because Poor Things can win. I still think Poor Things could win in production or costume design.
I think it's going to win both.
It gets its showing of support the same way that Little Women gets one and it's in costume design, And so yeah, I think Lily then gets Best Actress. My God, I'm being vexed by Paul Giamatti, I think.
You are, yeah.
And then maybe American Fiction wins screenplay, Barbie wins song, and Anatomy of a Fall wins screenplay. I think it's a possibility that every Best Picture nominee gets something.
Besides Past Lives, yes.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Unfortunately, yeah. But I think everyone else besides Past Lives, if Lily wins, will have an Oscar.
Well, so the only other thing that I think we need to talk about, because I do think with a race this open, stuff could still surprise us.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think that the BAFTA loss completely shut down Sandra Hüller? Because of course she wasn't here.
I don't think anyone has won Best Actress without a SAG nomination. I'd have to look back on that, but I'm pretty positive that it hasn't happened before. And I just still doubt the acting branch. While I think it's great that Sandra Hüller got in, the acting branch, more than any other branch, has shown their I don't know, like inability or to award foreign performances. I mean, no one from Parasite was nominated. It's usually only foreign performances from actresses or actors who we know. I think Sandra Hüller is an exception in that. She's not like a big name like a Penelope Cruz or someone, but usually the acting branch, unlike other branches, has trouble overcoming that, as Bong Joon-ho said, that a 1-inch barrier of subtitles, more so than any other branch. So I think the nomination is the win for Sandra. I'd personally vote for her. But if she can't even win at BAFTAs, where that film I think was stronger than it probably is at the Academy, I don't know. I don't think it can happen here. I think it's just Emma or Lily.
Yeah, because I do think like you look at somebody like Marion Cotillard, who did win in a foreign film, with Olivia and Rose, and I'm just thinking because there is a literal possibility where Emma and Lily cancel each other out, and Sandra is that just beloved. Because this is the thing. Emma Stone will definitely have her detractors because people either don't love the comedic sensibilities of Yorgos Lanthimos' works. They think it's too risque. I think there's some people who will feel that Lily Gladstone just either, some of the issues we've talked about Killers of the Flower Moon, or maybe, there are others that maybe grab their hearts a little bit more. I think there's a possibility where Sandra is kind of that agreed upon number two. That we talk a lot about with Best Picture. And if there's enough people that really do love her, I know acting isn't voted on preferentially, but if she's the most well-liked and the least controversial of all the five, I do think it's a possibility. She just won the César Awards. And yeah, it's just something to throw out there, because I do think that out of any year, I usually deny what if the two frontrunners split and then the third one pops through? I usually like that. But I think because BAFTA went for Emma Stone, and like you would almost think in any other year, like if I told you watch those two movies in October, I think you would probably said Emma Stone wins SAG and Lily Gladstone wins BAFTA. So the fact that the voting, it seems like everything is off this year. AFI, like the Golden Globes and the AFI were like what? They were like the critics groups, and then the Critics' Choice was, throwing in crazy stuff. It's like every single voting body is out of sync. I think because at the center of it is a nearly $1 billion genre movie that's masquerading under the genre, the biopic. It's just so strange this year where every voting group seems to be not following true to what their usual voting habits are. It makes it interesting, I think.
It does.
You look back.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Sandra is a solid number 3 at the Oscars. I just still, it is, maybe, who knows? I don't know how many times, I don't forget the last time it happened.
Zone of Interest will probably help.
Zone of Interest. Maybe, I don't know. I just still.
Listen, when Spielberg is saying that it's the best Holocaust movie since Schindler's List, which he thinks is the best movie he has, like that I do think turns heads a little bit.
How much does that help her, though?
Well, I'm just saying, I think there's more renewed interest in the film. I think anybody who was holding out looks at that in the industry is like, all right, let me check this out. It's nominated for Best Picture, and then she pops up again. I'm feeling a lot of support for her in a way that I didn't necessarily sense for Isabelle Huppert, who was up against Emma Stone, funnily enough.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I mean, I'd love
also,
to see it.
also, we should note the only other category, because we're not going to do the television categories, though
We
Pedro
can quickly.
Pascal surprised.
There was some surprise. I think 2 surprises with Pedro Pascal and Elizabeth Debicki. They
Yeah,
didn't go for either Succession actors. But
yeah.
Succession still won ensemble, so they also got an award. But that was
Um,
interesting for sure.
I mean, the only other film award was Best Stunts, which I was happy to call Mission Impossible.
Yep.
Which this is Mission Impossible's first SAG Stunt Ensemble Award.
Yeah.
It lost previously to Mad Max for Rogue Nation and Black Panther for Fallout, and was not nominated for Ghost Protocol, surprisingly. But yeah, I think you called Lily and I called Mission Impossible. So collectively,
you converted me to Mission Impossible. So yes. So, and yeah, I think it makes sense. Looking back with Mission Impossible, because this is the first like awards season that franchise has actually broken through at the Oscars itself. So it makes sense that this is the first time it wins at SAG as well.
I think that is the result of Top Gun Maverick. I think people look at Tom Cruise blockbusters with a little bit more respect than they did in the 2010s. And I also just think that as I said on the show, whenever we talked about it 2 weeks ago, it just felt like that had the clearest stunt. Like everybody, like John Wick, oh yeah, there's fighting and shoot 'em ups, and Barbie, at the car chase, and Guardians and Indiana Jones are traditional blockbusters. The Mission Impossible not only has that veneer of success because of Tom Cruise and Top Gun Maverick, and also just you look at like Scarlett Johansson wants to work with Tom Cruise. Like so many people want to work with Tom Cruise. Alejandro Inarritu is now working with Tom Cruise, which
he's coming for that Oscar.
But that one bike stunt, I think everybody knows of that. And so if they were looking at their ballot, they were saying, what's the best stunt ensemble? That was what came into their mind. And they were like, that's worthy. And it was worthy. I mean, honestly, that probably isn't what I would have given it the win for if I was in that category. I mean, it was a really well done film when it came to its stunt choreography.
And I think it was the most on. I don't think Barbie was. I thought maybe it could win just if they voted for their favorite, but out of the two like true like big stunty ones of Mission Impossible and John Wick, I think Mission Impossible had more of an ensemble per se than John Wick, which is kind of like John Wick, Keanu Reeves' show.
What I find interesting with Lily Gladstone's win, with Mission Impossible winning, because of course Black Panther was the best ensemble winner of its year, and then it won best stunts as well. It does seem as if, I hope, and again, this goes back to the separation of not just, despite Oppenheimer winning 8, the fact that maybe 9 Best Picture nominees can win something. I do hope we're moving away from what started with the Emmys when it was like one show wins every single category, and then we saw it kind of last year with Everything Everywhere winning 3 acting awards and like more above the line. Like I hope we're getting away and that people do spread the love, because in the end, like the field is so fantastic. It's really incredible looking at all the films this year, and I think we bemoan still the fact that Tar and The Fabelmans and The Banshees of Inisherin went home Oscarless. It's ridiculous.
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna have a lot more spreading of love this year, thankfully. Like we said, I think pretty much Past Lives will probably be the only one to not.
And acknowledging the individual categories. Barbie might have been your favorite movie, but Mission Impossible had the best stunts. That's what won.
Yeah.
It reminded me of when First Man won visual effects against Infinity War, which, while Infinity War has good visual effects, like they were paying attention and they were looking. I feel like I like when that happens. Lily Gladstone again. They were looking into that performance. It wasn't just like, oh, I like Emma Stone. It's like, because that's the thing you worry about with movie stars is, are they really winning for this performance, or are they winning because they love La La Land that much? And that's the movie they're always watching, or the favorite. Like, that's what I think that's what people find refreshing about like Cillian Murphy's win and Lily Gladstone, is that and Divine Joy Randolph, Downey not so much.
Subtle.
Well, they're subtle, but they're winning for these performances. They're winning for the work that they did. There's no way, like, you may have loved Divine Joy Randolph and Dolomite Is My Name, but I guarantee you the majority of the people don't remember that movie and don't remember how good she was in it. They're voting specifically for the holdovers. They haven't seen certain women. You know, they
Mhm.
don't remember that Cillian Murphy was the one with the bag on his head in like 4 Christopher Nolan movies. So
Yeah.
that I think is what also people like about these wins, is that it really cements it on the performances this year themselves.
Mhm. I agree. It's getting late in the night, so it's getting a little glitchy, I think, on both of our ends. I think I'm frozen now. So, I think it is probably a sign to end the conversation there. Just a short little talk about what happened. Not really a reaction per se. The only thing that would probably cause a reaction would be Lily Gladstone. Um, and we can maybe recreate that at some point. We can recreate that for the Oscars because who knows? But yeah, that's really it. Comment your thoughts on the winners down below. The ceremony itself, I thought the ceremony was pretty good. The actors always know how to put on a show.
Reunion! Yay!
Yep, yep.
That was my favorite.
That was great. Yeah, Meryl Streep running into the microphone.
That was good. You
Yeah,
solved that.
she did. Yeah, she went right through. And yeah, that's all. Comment your thoughts on all that stuff down below. Like, subscribe. We've got some fun stuff coming up, some Dune 2 talk, all of that stuff, as well as, of
This time
course, the
tomorrow,
Oscars.
we both would have seen Dune Part 2.
This is true. This is true. That's crazy. Maybe our next Best Picture winner.
Oh,
No, probably. We'll see. We'll see. So you'll have to keep an eye out for that coming very soon. But until then, where can they find you on the internet, Anthony?
at Anthony_post, Letterboxd, and Twitter.
Awesome. Awesome. So like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we will see you very soon.
Bye, everyone.